Hello and welcome to What's Up Punk, where we take a look at the myriad of subgenres underneath the umbrella of punk. Today we're taking a look at Necropunk. Just because you're dead doesn't mean we can't still make a profit off you. We've hacked the mind, we've hacked the tech, we've hacked the meat, now we hack death itself. Hack the planet! What is Necropunk? What if death wasn't the sweet release it was supposed to be? What if by tech or mad science, not magic, you were brought back to the sewer that is life for no other grander purpose than to kill or serve the living? That's Necropunk. So, Robocop, or Reaper tech. Once again, we're dealing with a punk speculative genre that's also a music genre, and once again, I had so much research material to go over, I feel no need to add that as a segment to this video. I'm also very worried that next time the randomizer is going to spit out 4 music genres, I'm going to be very screwed. It's worth noting that Necropunk is not widely considered or accepted as a punk subgenre, mostly because it fits into a plethora of settings, which makes no sense because the popular zeitgeist on Necropunk, enough that it's the Urban Dictionary's entry for it, says that it's a genre that spun out of Steampunk. Sometimes gig hurts my brain. Anywho, say what you will, but people love the dead.
Hey Joe, you wanna play the zombie game?
No, I don't wanna fucking play another goddamn zombie game!
Necropunk could easily be found on the streets of Night City or Victorian London. What matters is the focus on technology. Necrotech specifically. It comes in a lot of flavors. Want something a bit more nanotech from the book Necrotech? It's a worse version of cyberpsychosis. Nan, in an attempt to repair a failing body, usually because the solo is so full of holes, or they added too much tech, to a point that cannibalizes the meat, in an attempt to keep it going. Going, not alive, just ambulatory, resulting in zombie killing machines. Want something with a bit more biopunk to it? In the world of Resurrection Inc., the dead walk the streets, resurrected by technology to become servants of the living. Resurrection Inc. found a profitable way to do it. Microprocessor in the brain, synthetic heart, and artificial blood, and anyone with money can buy a servant with no mind of its own, trained to obey any command. What? Robots are expensive, and we have a lot of dead people. In Frankenstein's army, we go dieselpunk, with Vic's grandson building an army to take on all comers in WW2. Also, definitely an inspiration for some of Heisenberg's forces from RE8. Nothing says deadly weapon like the Gimp from Tokyo Gore Police by a Nazi, the Claw, or Engine Face here. The Frankensteins aren't great weapon designers.
Frankenstein.
You're putting me on.
No, it's pronounced Frankenstein.
Interesting aside, while
Resident Evil
is biopunk or biopunk adjacent, it's not necropunk. We call these guys zombies as a shorthand, but technically all biological function still works. It's just the progenitor virus and its many sundry offshoots has melted the wetware in the slag and it's eating away the flesh. Dying, yes. The Walking Dead, no. So I can put a shotgun-sized hole through one of them and they'll still go down. But still, of course.
That a ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head.
Where does it say we should do any one thing but shoot the mothers in the head?
I'm killing these things, Sheriff.
Just shoot them in the head. They seem to go down permanently when you shoot them in the head.
Shoot them in the head.
You mean shoot them in the head?
Hold your fire, Tom! Valentine!
They're infected. I told you. Shoot for the head.
Meanwhile, you're playing Resident Evil, and it's like, bitch, zombies coming up the hill right now. Shoot him in the head. Shoot him. Grab the shotgun. You don't need to load it. We did that shit for you. What are you pressing select for? You don't have time to make a profile. Bitch, zombie's in the room. His axe is on fire. He killed your parents. Shoot him in the head. Shoot him in the head.
The ultimate life form. Tyrants.
Not part of the Frankenstein core. Just a guy with a unique gene pattern that peanut buttered and gelled well to selective and strategic exposure to the T-virus. After that, just modified clones of him.
Resident Evil 4.
Parasitical infection resulting in mind control. Until you pop the head off, it's still alive, just being piloted. Fungal infection and mind control plus Wolverine. Pile of fungus. Anything human or dead in there got aid to perpetuate the aforementioned walking fungus.
Resident Evil
Okay. I don't really understand what the Ouroboros virus did. The thing is, it ripped them apart and became walking spaghetti. But maybe? Another side, Capcom, my dudes, do not remake 5, but if you must, for all that is holy, remake Code Veronica first. The Youngbloods have no idea who Wesker is. That's kind of a problem. Lost the plot there for a moment. On the subject of zombos, you might have noticed I have steered away from traditional viral zombies. I do feel there's a place for them in Necropunk, like the Kabaneri and Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. It's a personal preference that I'm leaving them out, or using them at a minimum. I just think that viral infection like that's a little bit more biopunk. And I think Necropunk would be more interesting when it's something more like Empire of Corpses, a steampunk world using necroware. Walking corpses have become commonplace in that they do everything from fight wars to deliver mail to data entry. Even hitting Clockpunk a bit with using analytical engines to program the corpses, literally hacking death. Aesthetic. Dude, what was with all the steampunk zombies? We'll get into that a bit with how this whole crazy train started, and I'll admit, back in the day I wasn't really part of the brass and top hat crowd. I did however photograph them, and a lot of them were also among the dead. So what's up? Aesthetically? Well, steampunk is about optimism and looking back at the Industrial Revolution, Victorian Age, with affection and glamour, describing a period of time where we still believe science will solve all our problems. So here comes the dead or the dying to bitch slap the sentimentality out of you, by being allegories for poverty and colonialism. Don't forget, kids, when you get old, the past was just now but different. Some people look back with fondness, others are screaming in terror. Yeah, like what I brought up in Necropunk, the dead being used as a stand-in for the unwashed masses ain't new. Also, it was just part of the golden age of the network. We just threw everything at the wall and see what stuck. That's why everything was zombies and mustaches. Wait, wasn't this a Miss Marvel joke?
How about steampunk Captain Marvel? What?
Zombie Captain Marvel, I could be like,
I will eat your brains!
Is that your best
But I
zombie?
also have superpowers.
Okay, hey, let's never do that zombie impersonation again.
Once again, Double K, I feel seen. Also, the gradual dehumanization of people, seeing them as another commodity, leading us to what I found more of in my research. Ignoring its origins, giving examples like Dead Girls, Resurrection Inc., and Necrotech. More gothic and high modernism. Not surprising, let's be real here, tech mobilizing the dead.
That sounds pretty goth.
Modern gothic spectrum is influenced by cyberpunk, bringing in a range of slick surfaces and materials that collide and layer with grungy, moody lighting effects. On the art side of things, we see less rotting flesh bags than you might think, more techno-skeletons, as if the flesh is superseded by tech. The human superstructure is the only thing making it look even vaguely human. On the architectural side of things, even when corpse operators are sanctioned, well, it still keeps the gothic hammer horror vibe going. Like how in Empire of Corpses, London's necroware users were based out of the Tower of London, a cheery place where at least 48 people, likely a lot more, were tortured. And is definitely haunted. Again,
Hardcore goth.
where did Necropunk start? I mean, there's this GQ looking man right here. You ever stop and realize Old Vic's goal was just to do it? He had no grander plan than all their scientists can suck it, I defy death. He wasn't for profit, slave race, army, immortality, just bragging rights. I weirdly respect that. Anyway, Old Frank, plus the encroaching supernatural elements of steampunk, like K.W. Jetter's seminal novel, Infernal Device, Fish Zombies, point still stands. Outer Gods, baby. Outer Gods. The Parasol Protectorate series, which the Souls manga was an adaptation of, it then got more traction with Necropunk, an RPG that runs a Pathfinder system. Once humanity left the Soul system, humanity's bones began to secrete an enzyme called Zerostag. That makes bones thought transmissive. 1,000 years later, bones are worth their weight in gold. They're used to create powerful psychic weapons, armors, giant mech bone golems. Play as a daring grave robber and steal valuable corpses from brutal capitalistic necromancer guild worlds. Yeah, it's pretty Warhammer 40k.
Face your heresy!
Use psychic power to take over necrotech, or be a political mover and shaker of a dark past. After that, with the dead involved, more techno-gothic influences crept in, followed by the naked beast-esque cyberpunk capitalism. From there, the head got rolling. Real-life Necropunk. Thankfully, not really. There's the usual continuing work on cryonics. freezing the body just at the point of death to fix them later, but it's running into the same problems it always has. Freezer burn, and we're still working on fixing the thing we're gonna fix when we unfreeze you.
God, his bone-itis!
I was so busy being an 80s guy, I forgot to cure it.
In 2019, Yale University scientists have revived cellular activity in 32 brains of pigs that had been slaughtered like 4 hours earlier. They put the brains into an apparatus in their lab and began pumping it with a blood substitute. They developed a so-called BrainX system used to pump artificial nutrients into the brain's vascular network. But no electric charge was detected. It could lead to something down the line, but right now it's just a better understanding of brain death. Now, recommendations. Robocop, the whole trilogy. Yeah, that's right, I'm one that likes the whole thing. I mean, I named my Cyberpunk Red character after him. I'm kind of a fan. Yes, the peak is definitely the first one, but I think the second one answers one of those questions that comes up.
You're rich, buy an army.
But they can't. It's not the tech that made Robocop work, it was the meat. And it's hard to find another Alex Murphy. We've tried. Yes, the satire isn't as good for 2 as 1, but the writing is still on point, and a nice time capsule of Frank Miller's writing before the brain slug took over. I still say it has the best ending of all 3 movies.
That son of a bitch is getting away with it. You can't even touch him.
Patience, Lois. We're only human.
And yeah, the third one didn't need a Kenny or to kill Lou, and the plot's a little all over the place. But the Mega Buster and the jetpack are cool, okay? And the cops finally got tired of OCP shit and went on strike. With the game Robocop Rogue City coming out soon, there's a good chance to catch up with Murphy. A good cop transferred to Detroit, soon to be renamed and reimagined Delta City, by its new owners OCP, at a time when the police department was kind of a meat grinder. And Murphy doesn't make it through his first day. It was actually somewhat clandestine, as OCP was intentionally turning the police station into a meat grinder, to get a corpse like Murphy to resurrect as a cyborg lawman, to replace the police and a new product to ship out. I'm not sure why they just didn't pay people to do this procedure electively, but, I'm not the president of Gun Huge Co. Can Murphy rediscover his humanity and solve his own murder? Did this guy not gaze into the fist of dread? For all 9 of you that got that reference, it's nice to have you here. Also, why was Carl not Robocop in 2014? Also, 2000 AD needs more love. The West keeps ripping it off.
You're gonna be a bad motherfucker.
Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. Gonna be real honest with you, I've only seen the OVA on Netflix, not the whole series on Crunchyroll. Anyway, that should actually entice you more. I've only watched an hour and a half of this property set months after the series ended and fell in love. A Class 1 zombie outbreak takes place during the Industrial Revolution, with a twist, and why I believe some mad science is afoot. Not only will destroying the wetware put a Kabaneri down, but also piercing the glowing golden heart in its center, which is protected by a layer of iron. Leading to the creation of steam-powered pressure guns. On the island country of Amato, people have built fortress-like stations to shelter themselves from these creatures. People access the stations and transport wares between them with help of fortified steam locomotives. However, second plot twist. Unlike most zombie apocalypse, a bite may not be fatal. If the brain is tourniqueted before the virus reaches it, the virus will resurrect the body but keep the mind intact.
Dark.
Resulting in a hybrid called a Kabaneri. After that, a tight Joker will keep it at bay. The show is a blending of the original Mobile Suit Gundam, High School of the Dead, and Steampunk. While the art's nothing special, the music and phonetic energy in the fight scenes pushes it to be something great. It got pegged early on as an AOT clone, unfairly in my opinion. I really hope this one gets more love.
Move it, now!
Return of the Living Dead 1 and 3. Just talked about Class 1, let's talk about a Class 2 zombie outbreak. Don't watch 2, it's needlessly silly. That's going for me. I just admitted to liking the jetpack on Murphy. I have a decent tolerance for silly. And everything from Necropolis on, just no. God, what can I say about these movies? The first one was the first time ever that zombies craved brains. The third is Sid and Nancy with one's a talking corpse. Oh, you heard correctly. The dead here are not mindless. They are conscious, capable of making strategy, and fully aware of what they do, and have no remorse over it. They must consume the brains of the living.
Come in dispatch. Send more paramedics.
Both are in my top 5, top 10 must-watch punk movies. Here's the brass tacks. The US Army done goofed. In an attempt to create the next Agent Orange, they instead created zombies. A small amount, they were able to contain them, but a few civilians saw them. They then commissioned the movie Night of the Living Dead as a misinformation campaign. Look into the history of the Living Dead franchise to find out why that's funny. From those zombies, they derived the chemical known as 2,4,5-trioxin. They then goofed again, losing some of the containers, shipping 3 to You Need a Medical Supply. A small outbreak in You Need a Medical occurs that could have been contained, but instead turned into a much larger outbreak. After decapitating a corpsicle failed to end it, deciding to roast it instead, releasing the chemical creating acid rain that rained on a nearby graveyard and some unlucky punks. The third movie takes place much later. The missing 245 containers recovered, and the US Army is now experimenting on turning zombies into undead soldiers, using exoframes. And unfortunately, now the outbreak can be spread through saliva. Not a fan of that, but we follow Julia for most of this, and she doesn't go full outbreak monkey till the end, so I think it still works. Also, the US Army weaponizing the dead.
Oh, God, Kurt, that was incredible. Let's do it again.
Empire of Corpses. It's a recommendation for sure. It's definitely the most Necropunk thing I've seen ever. The thing is, I just feel Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, Altair Iris, Eternal Mana approach similar subjects better. It also doesn't help that after this stealing pile of what the fuck, I've been off avenging classic literature characters, and it perpetuated the myth that Edison was anything other than a filthy corpo. So I lost its points. I like it, but I don't love it. Anyway, thanks to the work of old Doc Vic Frankenstein, corpse puppets are now one of the largest industries in the world. The townspeople drove Vic into hiding. Yeah, also the murderous creature, but whatever. With his notes and research lost, no other corpse scientist can make anything other than a drone, not a true Frankenstein. A young researcher, John Watson, yes, that one, wants to create a true resurrection. He gets a chance, just has to find Vic's notes, but by finding them, he could doom the world. How do I feel about Necropunk? Oh, this is my jam. Not as much creepy stuff I was hoping for. I was expecting more Strogs from Quake stuff and then Empire of Corpses. It tried, but the attempts were more depressing than scary. Also, I just might not be as fazed by existential horror as most people. I have a copy of H.P. Lovecraft's Necronomicon on my bookshelf, and I spent most of House of Leaves calling the guy who owned the house the dumbest character in fiction. I stand by that. Anyway, back on Necropunk. I do enjoy it, but I can see why other people don't. It's a little bit everywhere, and zombie fatigue is real. I've been through it. And some of the algorithms are pretty heavy-handed, and there's more Frankenstein's armies than there are Robocops. On the other hand, techno zombies are really sick looking and fertile ground. No stand-up question this time, punks, just a request. Visit your dead. Hug your living. Tell them that they are important. Have a great time. But keep on being a no-good, dirty punk.
You know it, you love it, here's the spiel, let's do it. Hit subscribe to be my subscriber. Hit the bell so you know when I've actually posted stuff. Still no idea why those two things are separate now, but whatever. And of course, hit like to appease the algorithm gods. All fear and praise. On a list of whatever YouTubes, I am also probably not going to get any ad revenue for these videos, so if you would be so kind, check out that Patreon and the GoFundMe. Links in the description.